Hello everyone, and welcome back to Steins Gate Zero. I'm G, and we are at the divergence point where previously we went to the Twin Automata ending. Now, we are going to continue on the correct path. Amadeus is calling us on January 12th. Now we shall answer. There we go. Hello? Help me. Kurisu? Help me, Okabe! In that instant, I suddenly felt incredibly dizzy, and everything went black. Oh boy! 0.571082. We're back in the Alpha Attractor field. I felt like I was floating up from the bottom of a black pit. My mind slowly began to clear. Where am I? I slowly looked around the room. There was no way I could mistake it. This was the Future Gadget Lab. The place I'd been just a moment ago. There was nothing unusual about it, except for the fact that everyone was missing. They'd been there just a moment ago, but now they were all gone. I looked at the clock. It had been just about 3 p.m. when I'd finished my call with Maho. Only a few minutes had passed. Even if I'd passed out, it was impossible to imagine all of them leaving me here. Which meant... no way. I took a slow walk around the room. There were other strange things. Dairu's PC, for example. There was a thin layer of dust on the keyboard, as if no one had used it for a while. And then the corner of the room. Normally, that was where Mayuri put her bags. The paper bags where she always put the cosplay outfits she was working on. I'd seen them there just a moment ago, but now they were gone. Could this be? The world line has changed again. But why? Come to think of it, Kurisu's words from before. Help me, Okabe. Why would Kurisu say something like that? Did it have something to do with the world line shift? I took the phone out of my pocket and went to start the Amadeus app, but then stopped. It's gone. The Amadeus icon was gone from my phone. What's going on here? My mind raced to try and come up with an explanation. But of course, I came up with nothing. Calm down, just find out what's going on here. I needed to calmly find out what this world was like. I was about to walk towards the door to find out when... the back of the room. I heard a sound from the back of the development room, which no one ever used anymore. Someone was there. Who? Daru? Mayuri? I slowly approached. I almost couldn't breathe. I never forgot. I'd never forgotten her. The girl standing there was Kurisu Makise. Antonomic duel. Oh boy. Kurisu Makise was looking down at something. This is impossible. Kurisu couldn't be here. Because she was dead. Was I seeing things? Was my desire to see her making me hallucinate? But it seemed far too realistic to be a hallucination. Still, it felt that if I spoke a word, she'd disappear. I couldn't say a thing. What was she staring at without even moving a muscle? She was so still that I thought she must be a hallucination after all. But then... finally exhaled a little and slowly turned around. Okabe! My throat was dry, and I couldn't speak. You were standing there, you should have said something, you scared me. Happy New Year's! Anyway, it's not often I see you come by anymore. Okabe? Ursu. Really is you, isn't it? What that kind of way to start off the new year is that? Are you okay? Did you eat something bad? Even her slightly peeved expression. Ursu. What? And the gentle flash you sometimes saw in her eyes. And this. What's wrong? Are you really okay? Yeah. Even her warmth. Hey! What are you doing? It wasn't a hallucination. Or an artificial intelligence on a screen. It was the real Kirisu Makise. Okabe. The real, live Kirisu Makise. Okabe, please, let me go. I'm sorry. Let me stay like this just a little bit longer. Are you crying? I realized for the first time that my cheeks were wet. I felt her soft hands on my back. Don't worry, it's okay now. Kirisu. It's okay. It's okay. She whispered to me in a soft voice and patted me on the back. She wrapped her arms around me, like a kind mother holding a child. I'm sorry. I finally calmed myself down. She was still there. She still existed. Now that I'd calmed down, I realized what that meant. No, don't worry about it. That happens to me too sometimes. That? You were thinking about Mayuri, weren't you? That's right, Kirisu was here. Which meant that this was the Alpha World line. The world without Mayuri. The world where Mayuri died. Some small part of me had wished that this was the world beyond Steins Gate. That it was a new future which someone else had opened for me. But of course that was too good to be true. There was no way for me to know what had happened. But I must have made my choice. To give up on Mayuri. There was the future where she was gone. Confronted once more with the reality of Mayuri's death, my heart felt like it was about to burst. Mayuri. How had she died? Okabe? Did they push her in front of a train? Did they shoot her? Or? Calm down! Kirsu's tiny hand wrapped around mine. Okay? Come on, deep breaths. Little by little, my racing heart began to calm down. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. Oh, it's not that. It's not. You going to take something? Bring you some water. I rummaged through my pocket and found a small box of pills. It was the same anxiety medication that I had already been taking. Even in this world, I was still on the same drugs. I looked around the room while Kirisu got me some water from the tap. Hey, Okabe, why'd you come back here? What? You haven't come here for a long time, you know? Even Hashida stopped coming. Daru too? Yeah. The room was awfully clean then. Took a closer look and saw that there were a few places like Daru's PC that were covered in dust, but the rest seemed to have been regularly cleaned. Kirisu, you've been coming here? Sometimes. I'd be sad otherwise. Didn't have to ask who they were. Mayuri loved this place. She loved the Future Gadget Lab. She loved the time she spent with all the lab members here. I'm sorry. Are you apologizing? Because... I waited, but no answer ever came. What was she apologizing for? For talking about Mayuri? For making me remember? Or for making me choose. Kurisu. What? No. Nothing. Okay. If I said something, she'd answer me right away. I could reach out and touch her. That alone brought me to the verge of tears. I just stayed here like this. What was I thinking? I'd given up on everything and left her to die. And still I was happy to be back here in this world line with Kurisu. As I was sad over losing my Eri, part of me was thinking I wanted to stay here, even though I didn't have the right. If there was a god in this world, he must be a cruel, twisted being. Why was he doing this to me again? Was I done that wrong? I already made my choice once. There was no way to save the world. There was no way to save Kurisu. But with Kurisu in front of me, I was already starting to waver. Should I go back to the beta world line? Should I send the D-mail? The D-mail? Hey, what happened to the phone wave? What? You destroyed it. Did you forget? Yeah, that's right. The phone wave no longer existed, it seemed. Of course it didn't. Its mere existence had made us a target of CERN. But without it, I couldn't leave this world line on my own. So even if I did stay here in this world line, it wouldn't be my responsibility. It wasn't my fault, and it wasn't something I'd wanted. Which meant... Hey, Okabe. Hmm? Sorry, could you go get me something to drink? Something to drink? I'm thirsty, you know. Something warm if you could. I can make instant coffee if you want. Wasn't that what Kurisu had always made me do? 2 cubes of sugar, no milk. We're out of coffee. Okay. Yeah, I should go. I wanted to get outside and think things through. Something sweet with milk and sugar. Thought you didn't put milk in your coffee. On cold days, I always want something sweet and creamy. Roger. I stood up and headed for the door, but turned around halfway. What? No. Felt like if I took my eyes off her, she'd disappear. That was far too embarrassing to say. Okabe. Hang in there. I'm not a kid. I can run a simple errand. Yeah, you're right. Bye. My whole body relaxed the second I stepped outside the lab. Evidently, meeting the living Kurisu had made me really tense. I didn't know how to talk to her, or what to say anymore, even though I'd spoken to Kurisu like it was the most normal thing in the world. I still couldn't believe it, though. Was this really the Alpha World line? No, if Kurisu was here, it had to be. Then why? Who had caused the world line change, and how? Save me, Okabe. That call from Kurisu. Was that what triggered it somehow? No, I should stop thinking about it. If someone else had caused it somehow, I shouldn't get involved anymore. I didn't want to. I didn't want to overthrow the structure of the world anymore. I just wanted to live in peace. In a universe with no world lines or attractor fields. I'd stop letting the whims of fate rule my life. There was nothing left that I could do. Suddenly, something seemed very wrong. Kurisu's words a moment ago. What had they meant? Okabe. Hang in there. She couldn't mean to... I turned around and rushed back into the lab. Kurisu? What? Kurisu, you... That... Too bad. I guess you found me. She was just where I'd seen her the first time, standing and looking toward the back of the development room. In the depths of the darkness, in a spot that just a moment ago had been covered by a cloth, I saw an old microwave with its door taken off. Phone wave came subject to change. Future gadget number 8. It was the gadget that had changed my fate. No, the fate of the world. How? Didn't I destroy it? Yes, you did. There's a new one I made. You could call it the Phone Wave Custom. It wasn't the real name a little longer. Maybe it should be the Phone Wave name so it'd change custom. Name doesn't matter. You remade it. Why? Send a message to the past. I'm going to send a message and change the world line. No, maybe it would be better to say fix than change. I actually finished this over a month ago. And since then, I've just been standing here wondering whether or not I should send the message. I certainly didn't expect you to come see me, though. What are you? Tell me, Okabe. You just came from another world line, didn't you? It was probably the Beta world line. Am I wrong? You could tell. You never do something like that otherwise. Something like what? Well, the way you hugged me, you know? It was all so wonderful. The way her cheeks reddened in embarrassment as she looked away. The way she pursed her lips. The way she fiddled with the ends of her hair. Everything was just so wonderful. I realized it again. I was in love with her. And what's more, someone else caused the world line change. You didn't do it voluntarily. Am I right? So you know everything then. You realize how much time I've spent watching you? Huh? No, it's not like that. I don't mean like watching you. Well, I mean, I do mean in that sense, but... Anyway. She took a deep breath and looked up at me again. You came from the Beta world line, then you chose that world once before, doesn't it? She was so far beyond what I could hope to be. In those brief moments, she discovered all that. She was right about everything. But even so, I couldn't let her know. Admitting that would mean admitting that I had left her to die. There was no way I could do that. I'm sorry. In the end, that was all I said. But that was an admission all the same. But instead of looking sad, she... Don't apologize, dummy. It was your choice, right? So have confidence in it. She tried to cheer me up. That's right. Ursu was right. I was the one who'd chosen the Beta world line. But... And you know, I don't think you were wrong. You just got here so you wouldn't know, but for the last several months you've done nothing but blame yourself. Not that you'd ever let me see it. It was the same. It was the same as what I'd gone through. It was the same as the Beta world line. But there was nothing I could do. Because your pain was because of me. You'd suffered so much to let me live. But that ends today. It has to. Because if it doesn't, the guilt is going to keep eating away at you. And in the end, it will crush you. It's the same. What do you mean? In the end, no matter which choice I make, I regret it. Not being able to save you. Not being able to save Mayuri. It doesn't matter whether I'm in the Alpha world line or the Beta world line. Maybe I should just stay here. Get hold of yourself, Okabe Rintaro. Kursu. Snap out of it. This isn't like you. Kyomahoin I love is always more confident. Kyomahoin, huh? There was a name I hadn't heard in a long time. You made the right choice. You chose to save Mayuri. And you weren't wrong. But I let you. Listen, what you're seeing right now is... It's a dream, that's all. Dream? That's right. You had a dream where you met me. That's all. Well, doesn't that make you feel a little better? Kursu sighed a little and laughed. We've learned so much about how the brain works, but we still don't understand the mechanisms by which we dream. The brain organizes and processes memories during sleep. One theory says that dreams are a result of that process. In other words, this is a dream world being experienced by you in the beta world line, so you can get your head together, you know? And if it's a dream, you have to wake up someday. Am I wrong? But this isn't a dream. You're right. I reached out and touched her cheek. You're right here, aren't you? Head sensations are just another of the brain's functions. She took a quick step back. The sensation of her cheek disappeared from my fingers. You won't be happy here anyway. You'll never be rid of the regret. And neither will I. It doesn't change in the beta world line either. I've done nothing but regret that I couldn't save you. Mayuri's happy at least, isn't she? Mayuri is. She doesn't know anything. Because that's what I wanted. I wanted her to know nothing and be happy. For now, that wish was still coming true, but... You want Mayuri to be happy. So do I. I'm the same way. Which means that you made the right choice after all. I'd finally met her again, but... She was here, alive, right in front of me, but... Oh, come on! She walked up to me without even trying to hide her frustration. Stop this nonsense already, Rintaro Okabe! You already reached your conclusion. You can't stay here. You have to go back. You have to wake up from the dream. Because I don't want to see you suffer like this anymore. Kursu. Come on, this is a waste of time. I'm doing it. She turned away from me. I could feel the strength of her will, her resolve. I remembered why I'd seen just after I'd come to this world line. Kursu had been just standing there in front of the phone wave. Thinking back, probably already made her decision. Without anyone knowing. Without anyone to say goodbye to. She'd chosen to go to a world where she would no longer exist. It had probably taken her a long time and a lot of struggle to come to that decision. She'd probably asked herself 1,000 times if it was really the right answer. If this was what she'd chosen after all that. I didn't have the right to stop her. It would be wrong. Hey, Okabe, before you wake up, promise me something. What? When you get to the beta world line, forget about me. It's just the opposite of what she'd said that day. That day, the day when I'd chosen the beta world line, she'd said to me, don't forget me. And now she was asking for the opposite. Forget you? You know I can't do that. She was always like that. She'd always cared more about others than herself. She always sacrificed herself. She was asking me this for my sake only. She didn't want to be forgotten. She hated being forgotten more than anyone else could. Remember what I said? It's a dream. Once you wake up from a dream, you forget what happened, right? She was stubborn and bullheaded. I would never be able to forget her. But I still remember the nightmares I had when I was a little kid. What were you calling a nightmare? It was all I could do to keep from breaking down. But that was probably the same for her. Anyway, forget about me. Forget about what happened today and everything that came before. That's what I want. She turned around, stuck out her pinky finger. She forced it around mine. It's a pinky promise. Lie and I'll stab an electrode into your hippocampus. Got it? Doesn't rhyme at all. Shut up. Her hand moved away from mine. Her gaze looked away from mine. It was almost time to say goodbye. She was sending a message to the past. I knew it was the right time, right thing to do. I knew this was what she wanted. But still. Kursu! Kursu! Okabe! Our voices overlapped. What is it? You first. It's nothing. Just wanted to say it out loud. The name of the person I cared for. What a coincidence. So did I. The name of the person I loved. Hey, you remember when we first met? Of course I do. You made a hell of a first impression. So did you. Really, I never thought things would end up like this. Never thought that encounter would lead to meeting someone so important to me. Not that I'd say it now. That's right. I couldn't say it, but just so you know, you're only allowed to remember our meeting right now. Even for a little. Once the world line goes back, you have to forget. Even just for a second. I know. Just for an instant. You're going to forget me just like that. If it would last just a little longer. This was your idea. Her voice. That's true, but it still pisses me off to hear you just say it like it was nothing. The way she moved. First you want me to forget, then you want me to not forget. Which is it? Her smile. It's a joke, I'm just kidding. Oh. It's a joke? Yeah, just a joke. Just a little longer, so that I could remember it all. But I was out of time. Okay. Bye. Those words were the sign that the magic was over. Yeah. There were a million things I wanted to say, but I stopped myself. Kirsty smiled, satisfied, and turned back towards the phone wave. She probably already had the message ready. The phone wave started to boom and crackle like thunder. There was a long, long countdown. The whole time Kirsty faced away from me. I just watched. The noise got louder. The countdown continued. And then, it was time. Okay, it's time to wake up. Kirsty turned around with a big smile on her face. Her voice was cut off by the roar. $1.053649. And then I woke up from my short dream. Color gradually returned to my blacked out vision. The lab started to come back into focus. I could tell immediately that the world line had changed. I could still see Kirsty when I closed my eyes, but she wasn't in the development room anymore. It was like the whole thing had been a daydream. I felt like I'd been caught in the boundary between dreaming and wakefulness. I was back to a world without Kirsty. This wasn't the Alpha world line. There was no point in even bothering to check. A moment ago, only Kirsty and I had been in this room. And now everyone was here. Oh, Green, what's wrong? Are you sick? No, I'm fine. Mayuri. Want some medicine? I'm fine, no need to worry. Ukuko. And... Really? You shouldn't push yourself. Kaguri Shina. If Mayuri and Kaguri were here, that meant I was back to the Beta world line. Just a little hungry. I haven't eaten anything all day. Come on now, Kreen. You need to eat or you won't get big like Uncle Daru. I'd rather skip a meal than end up like him. Huh? Okay, Mayushi will make something then. You will, Mommy? Can you? Oh, Kaguri, not you too. You guys been teaching me things lately. Okay then, I'll help too. Wait. Huh? Sorry, should I not help? No, that's not it. That's not it at all. I looked around at everyone, and then back at Kaguri. Miss Sheena. Oh, Karina, I said you could just call me Kaguri. Something was different. Okay, Kaguri, can I ask what you were calling Mayuri? I called her Mommy. Why? Why? Because she's my mommy, right, Mommy? It's kind of embarrassing to hear that. I felt vaguely dizzy watching Mayuri fidget in embarrassment. Then the two of you know that you're mother and daughter in the future.
Huh? You're the one who told me about her.
I did?
That's right. You said it would be better to know the truth, right?
Yep. I really tell them. Did I tell them something so important? And does Dukuko also?
Sorry, I didn't mean to listen in, but I heard anyway.
Dukuko lowered his head in apology.
But don't worry, I haven't told anyone, and being able to share in everyone's secrets kind of made me happy. I would have been happier if you told me directly, but
even Dukuko knew about Mayuri and Kagari, which meant that, of course.
Still, I was really surprised. I thought the time machine was only fiction. I had no idea you could make it real.
He knew about the time machine. Evidently, I hadn't come straight back from the Alpha World Line. I was in a world line slightly different from the one I'd been in before. The divergence meter I'd used before was gone now. That meant I didn't have a precise number, but this all felt very different. The problem was finding out what was the same as the old world line and what was different. Kagari, can I ask some more questions?
What is it?
I showered Kagari with questions in an effort to find out what was going on. Here's what I learned. First, Kagari retained her memories of her childhood, in other words, of the year 2036. She knew Mayuri, daughter of Suzuha, and also Ferris and Dukuko. But as for what the world of 2036 was like, now she'd become Mayuri's daughter. She hadn't told them the details about that. Fortunately, they hadn't seemed interested in knowing about their futures. Everyone always thinks they'd want to know what their future holds. When the chance finally comes, fear outweighs your curiosity. The future wasn't always a happy thing. Knowing the future might destroy your dreams. It might be a death sentence, like it was for me. Some people would lose all sense of meaning in their lives if they knew that there was inevitably going to be a war in which 5 billion people died. Then it was definitely you staying at Dukuko's that I brought you here, right?
Yep, and it was you who brought me and Mom together, Okarine. Don't you remember?
Right. Just thought I'd double check, you know?
Double check, huh? You're weird, Okarine.
Kagari going missing had happened almost exactly as I remembered it. The same was true of how she came to us. And you don't remember anything about what you were doing while you were missing?
No, not a thing. First thing I can remember is lying on a bed in a temple.
She was still missing some of her memories, too. In other words, in this world line, the only memories she had were of her childhood, and of the last few weeks since she'd woken up in the Chiba Mountains. The most important part was still missing. Was there anything else I needed to ask? I was staring at the floor trying to think when I realized that something was missing. The floor is clean.
Oh, I cleaned it before you came.
No, that's not it. Wasn't there a little hole in the floor?
A hole in the floor?
The lab had been attacked just last night. During the attack, one of their bullets had left a dark hole in the floor.
Was there a hole there? I don't think so.
By the way, how was yesterday?
Party? It was a lot of fun. I've never had so much fun in my life.
They wouldn't say that if there had been an attack, which meant that the attack had never taken place. Was no one after Kagari in this world? No, it was too early to assume that. I still didn't know what had happened when she'd gone missing. Until I did, I couldn't say for sure if she was safe. Just like how sometimes Mayuri's death would occur on different days in the Alpha World Line, the same thing might happen a few days later. In fact, it would be better to be cautious.
I hope we can all have another party again soon. When we do, I'll make something. Me too, I'll help.
They all started happily talking about last night's party. At first glance, it was a peaceful scene. Something sinister might be happening, and I just didn't know it. No, I knew something had to be happening. The fact that the world line was changing was proof. Why had it changed anyway? I thought back to the events of that night. First, someone had taken over Amadeus. Kurisu had called me and asked for help. The world line had changed right after I'd answered, which meant that the key was Amadeus? Did Amadeus have something to do with the world line change? What about the group who attacked Kagari? Was it all connected? Maybe I needed to find out.
By the way, Kagari, are you okay on time? Oh no, break time's over. The owner is going to get mad at me.
The owner? You have a job?
That's right, I'm working at the Brown Tube Workshop downstairs. Wait, I already told you this.
I see. In the old world line, Kagari had started working for Tenochi after the attack. That was another difference.
Jeez, you're so out of it today, El Green. Get a hold of yourself.
Sorry. Kagari hopped up and skipped out of the room. Her words and mannerisms were much more childish than they'd been in the last world line.
Work hard, Kay. Okay, bye.
Kagari, let me ask one more thing before you go. I asked one final question to Kagari, who was now giving a crisp salute. Does the word Amadeus mean anything to you?
Amadeus?
Kagari seemed to think for a minute.
Nope, nothing.
I see. She didn't look like she was lying or being sarcastic. She must really not have known. I watched her leave the lab and took out my phone. There was another thing I needed to check. What was happening with Amadeus? I looked for the icon on my screen. Amadeus. The AI that held Kurisu Makise's personality and memories. And the application which started the program. But the program was gone. And I think that this is a pretty good place to cut out. Once again, a little bit of a shorter episode, but you know, you never know how long these scenes are going to go. So might as well cut it here. I am really interested to see where this one goes, now that I think we have 2 or 3 more branching paths before the true ending. I'm not 100% sure. But for now, thank you all so much for following my playthrough of Steins Gate Zero, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.